Welcome one, welcome all to my podcast focusing on your favourite sports and your favourite athletes on their Olympic journey. This is the road to Tokyo. This is 2020 Vision. Hello and welcome to episode 11 of 2020 Vision. On this week's episode I chat to two athletes, Jamieson Batistella and Kiara Reddingius. Both athletes have a couple of things in common. The first being that they both compete in the grueling event known as the Heptathlon. In order to complete a Heptathlon, you must compete 7 different events to gain points, which make up your overall score. The events included in the Heptathlon are javelin, high jump, 100 meter hurdles, shot put, 200 meters, long jump, and the 800 meters. It takes a very mentally tough person to be able to compete and succeed in this event, which brings me to the second thing. Both Jamieson and Kiara have in common. They have both mastered this mentality and are champions at this event. I would like to take this time to congratulate them both on their recent gold medals in the Oceanic Championships held in Townsville. Jamieson came through and won the under-20s heptathlon with a score of 4,935. The beginning of my conversation with Jamieson was a bit confusing due to the fact that I thought she was a javelin thrower, but we soon work out what she is really about, and that throwing a javelin makes a great profile picture. Here is my chat with Jamieson Batistella. So, tell me, how did you begin as an athlete?
So I started when I was about 9, just I was running up and down the halls with my sister and really enjoyed it, not only the running but the competition against it too, so I wanted to get involved, and because I'd hit a squad level in swimming, Mum said I could finally give it up because I knew how to swim well, and so I did, and off I went and started little athletics.
Well, I kind of wish that I knew how to swim well now. It's good that you picked that up from an early age.
Yeah, definitely. Just something, survival skills, but also good so when I go out and stuff, I just know how to swim when we go camping and away.
Yeah, so you're a javelin thrower. When did you decide to make that a thing that you liked? I know, because I did athletics when I was younger and it was always a bit of everything. It wasn't until I was about 12 that I picked up something that I loved. So when did you find out that javelin was your thing?
Well, it's not quite my thing, actually. It's one of my 7 things, because I'm actually a heptathlete.
Oh, that's correct. Sorry. We're going by a picture, the profile picture on Facebook that I've seen. Associated javelin thrower. No problem.
Yeah, so it's hard to get a good profile picture. I'm constantly changing events. But,
no, that's okay.
Yeah, so I'm actually a heptathlete. I picked that up probably maybe 5 years ago now or 5 seasons ago I started focusing on it, but when I started Little Ass as a kid, I was more of a jumper and a sort of middle distance runner, then moved more into the jumps, and then from there started doing the multis at Little Athletics and realised I was fairly good at it, so I decided to stick with that and specialise in it, and now I'm here, I suppose, won a few national medals in it, and was lucky enough to get an Oceania medal in it, and represent Australia doing not only that but also individual high jump as well, so it's been a great journey.
So, what is your favourite event out of the lot then, if you don't mind me asking?
No, it's fine. My favourite event is actually high jump. I've been doing that for quite a long time and it's my best event out of 7 of them. It's got me to a lot of places and overseas a couple of times for different comps, and I just love it.
Yeah, I was just thinking then about what you said in regards to finding the proper profile picture that actually, when we're doing athletics, we don't really get good looks, do we? Some of them make us look pretty terrible.
Yeah. So most of my so far have been high jump pictures, but I was lucky enough to get in the local newspaper when I got selected on the Oceania team, and that was the picture they took, and it was really good, so I decided, that can be my new profile picture.
There you go. So how did you go in the last Oceania Games, which were only just last week?
Yeah, really good. I managed to get a silver medal in the individual under-20 women's high jump, and then won the gold in the under-20 women's heptathlon. So it's a very exciting week. I had 4 PBs out of the 7 events, and had a very solid individual high jump, and my point score overall wasn't quite a PB, but was close to, so it was really good.
Well, the only way is up. Is there anyone that's helped you along the way? I know we have coaches that help us. Do you mind talking to us about your coach?
Yeah, most definitely. So I've got 2 main coaches. One is Darren Clark, who works at Maribyrnong Sports Academy and has helped coach me for all my years since I've been at high school and since then as well, and he gives up so much time and effort to help coach me and the rest of my squad, so I'm very grateful for that. And I also have my dad who helps out a lot because it's hard trying to fit everybody in and juggle uni and stuff. So if I can't get with Darren, then I'll end up going to my dad and he takes me for a lot of my running and basically whatever else I need to do that I haven't been able to fit in the week, he can help me out with it and make sure I get it in. So I'm very grateful for both of them and for all of their help.
So is it Dad keeping up with you, or do you have to keep up with Dad when running?
Oh, luckily now he has to keep up with me, but I do remember a time when I had to keep up with him and we'd be doing all of our running sessions, and eventually what he would do is when I was getting a bit faster, he would do as many reps as it would take me for him to finally beat me. So we'd do just reps and reps and reps until I'd be so tired because I had to run so much faster than him that he would finally get me on the last one, and that's when we'd stop. But now he doesn't try to run with me because he knows I've got him beat.
It just proves that family is a really important thing when it comes to athletics and any sport in general. And when with family, when we talk about that, we also talk about team. Do you mind talking to us about the athletes that you work alongside to help you better yourself?
Yeah, definitely. So I've got a really nice senior squad that we all train together as often as we can. That's with Jessie Andrew, who's a sprinter, and she's a really close friend of mine. I also train with Celeste Mucci and Kiara Reddingius, who are both heptathletes, and some are moving over to different events now, but we all get along really well and we all push each other at training and encourage each other in comps. It's a really special group we've got. And then we've also got a lot of juniors and up and comers. So we've got Olivia Honey, who's a sprinter who's coming up, and Mari Lou, who's also a sprinter, and a lot of the junior athletes who are working their way up through high school and BCE studies to join the senior squad as well. So it's a really good group to start.
Is there any athletes that you look up to going through the sport? Because there have been some phenomenal Australian athletes that have competed as heptathlon in the heptathlon as well as the decathlon. Who do you look up to?
Yeah, definitely. The ones I look up to are particularly heptathletes. One of them is Morgan Mitchell. She's just not only just a lovely person because I've had the opportunity to meet her a few times, but just such a great and inspirational athlete to achieve what she has done and even know that it's time to change events and to push herself in areas that she's not so comfortable with is really something different that you don't see so often. It's just great to know that no matter where you are, you can keep changing and adapting and pushing yourself. Someone similar to that, Kat Bassett, I know she's just won a medal at World Junior Games. A similar story, like this is a second team ever as an Australian athlete, and to go from not having any in the junior years to coming up now winning international medals. Then you've even got the greats of all the heptathlon greats like Matthew Sam and Jessica Innes-Hill and all of those who are just so great to watch, and even Sally Pearson, our own Australian athlete. There's just so many out there, but I think definitely Morgan Mitchell is one of my favourite ones to look at the moment. That's
awesome. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
5 years' time, I'll probably be still at uni or hopefully just graduating, but I'd love to still be doing athletics at as high as a level as I can. Hopefully, I'm hoping to make a World Junior Games in 2021 or 2023, so somewhere around there, or another Oceania comp to help stepping to World Juniors would be nice, but hopefully one of those comps and slowly working towards the even more senior international comps, like on Games and Olympics. But definitely a bit more than 5 years away yet, but that's the ultimate plan.
What are you looking at studying at university?
I'm currently at the University of Melbourne, where I'm doing a Bachelor of Arts, and I'm majoring in Psychology and Criminology. That goes for 3 years. So after I finish that, I'm thinking of maybe doing a graduate teaching degree. But the ultimate career, once athletics and everything is followed through with as far as I can get it, I actually want to get into firefighting, and most firefighters have a second job, so I'm thinking some police teaching on the side, but we'll see how it all goes. It's a fair time at uni before I'll get into any of that, and things change, but that's the plan for the moment.
It sounds like you got your head screwed on. I like it.
Yeah, I've got a bit of a plan. We'll see if I stick to it, though. Things change. But
that's all right. We need to have a plan.
Yeah, exactly.
So, having the fact that you've competed at the Oceania Games, you get the opportunity of wearing the green and gold. What was it like putting that on, those colours?
Oh, it's just amazing. I was actually lucky enough to make the Oceania Champs 2 years ago as well, which were held in Fiji, and it was just surreal. And going from that, this one meant even more to me because unfortunately I got injured 2 weeks before I competed, so I tore ligaments in my ankle and managed to actually get out on the field and have a jump and clear a height, but it was not the performance that I was hoping for or expecting, and it was as great as it was being able to actually compete in the green and gold, I wasn't able to do it to the best of my ability. So it was so much more like surreal this time to be able to put on the uniform and get out on the track and run so close to PBs and come home with medals and feel like not only have I done myself proud and competed at my absolute best, but also done my country proud.
That's awesome. So you did talk about injury there. That would have been very disappointing to go through, but we always lift ourselves up. How do you bounce back? How do you show resiliency when it comes to those sort of things that happen to you?
Yeah, it's really hard, and especially that time was a really difficult time, not only for myself but for my family, because they were trying to do as much as I can to try to get me right. It was nearly an impossible journey at the time, but just having them around me and having my family always around me to support me whenever I've needed it or had a bit of a downtime that I was just struggling to get past, but just trying to focus on the journey itself and not always the end goal, because sometimes the end goal can become so consuming that you forget everything that you've already been through and all the hard work you're putting in, and even just enjoying all the little things. So just mainly trying to focus on that and the friends that I've made through the sport and everything that I've achieved already, and just focus on what I'm working towards and the reasons why I love the sport helps to get through all those tough times and injuries and when things aren't going so right.
So an ad once told me, from little things big things grow. So I guess that's the focus you've got there. Those little things are things that allow you to therefore go further and not get yourself too down. And that's a thing in sports nowadays, which sucks. You got a lot of people that do struggle with the mental health aspects and things like that. Is there anything that you do in your downtime to allow bad thoughts, in a sense, to not creep forward?
Yeah, I do. I love reading. I've loved reading for a very long time. Whenever I'm struggling a bit, I just need to get my head out of whatever string of thought I'm thinking on, then I just pick up a book and disappear into another world and another story, and I can lose myself in that for hours if I need to, and just something else to focus on and take my mind off things. But definitely that. And other than that, just music. It helps me focus my thoughts and get my head right and all that sort of stuff. So between definitely the reading and even some music as well, just helps me redirect whatever I'm thinking on and take my mind off whatever I need to.
What's the go-to artist before a race then, or a big event?
Oh, I've got a whole playlist. You can't go wrong with some Eminem.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I know. I kind of thought you were going to say that. That is the ultimate pump up.
Yeah, I think he's the one that I've got most, I've got a fairly big playlist, but if I had to pick one artist that represented a fair few of my songs, it would be him. But I don't know, I've got a lot of, upbeat songs and a few pump up ones with some actual lyrics, even some Imagine Dragons and stuff on there as well, because they're my all-time favourite artists. But as for my pump up playlist goes, probably Eminem.
Yeah, Taylor Swift is also one to go for if you ever want to chuck her in there. But no, that's good. All right, so one last thing. Can you give me some words of advice that you would give to the younger people going through the sport, or people that are wanting to get back into it or whatever? What are the words of advice that you would give them?
Probably just to stay strong. There's a lot of tough times in sport, especially when you're trying to compete at such high levels or reach your goal. There's always going to be times when things don't quite go your way, so just stay strong and pursue through it, and just focus on the things of the sport that you love, like the reason that you started in the first place, because that's ultimately what keeps us all in it and what keeps us going and what makes us push hard every training session and every competition. So focus on those and just stay strong through all the tough times, and eventually the results will start to show themselves.
Thank you very much for joining me for a chat, and in 5 years I hope that you're teaching my kid, because you've obviously got a great way of speaking. I work in school, so I can sense the teacher in you, and I wish you the best.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure being on.
No, that's okay. Well, yeah, you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you too.
Bye. There we had Jamieson, an athlete with a very bright future. Now let's go on to Kiara. Kiara won the Open Heptathlon with a point score of 5,149. I personally enjoyed Kiara's story. I find that not all athletes start from a young age. Here is my chat with Kiara Reddingius. So, can you tell me how you began as an athlete?
Well, I've got a little bit of a sort of a typical story. I didn't really start athletics until later in life. So I was always good at school at athletics, so it just didn't necessarily win anything apart from the high jump, but I used to go in everything. And then I was in the Goldfields in Western Australia, and I worked in the mines after school, so I didn't do any sport then. And then I moved to Perth for university, and it wasn't until about after a year in Perth that I wanted to get involved more in the opportunities that were available in Perth. And I decided to go down to an athletics club because I never played any sort of ball sport or anything when I was a kid because I was in a small rural country town. We didn't have enough people for teams, so athletics was the only sort of thing I knew that I could already do to a level, and I just wanted to go and make some friends and have some fun. And I think I was just before I turned 21, kind of, I went down. My coach just happened to be an elite sort of minded coach, and he said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "Well, I do sprinting. I like sprinting, and I do high jump." And he kind of looked at me and he laughed a little bit because I was quite heavy and I wasn't really tall and I wasn't beanpole like a high jumper. And then he said, "What do you jump then?" And I said, "I've jumped 160." And then he was quite surprised and said, "Well, you must be very strong. I think you should be a heptathlete." And I said, "I have no idea what that is." And then he went through the events and he got to 800 and I was like, "Oh, I don't think I can run that far." He's like, "Well, let's just see how you go until you decide exactly what you want to do." And ever since then I've trained for the hep and I just love it.
And let me guess, your 800's your favourite?
Well, it's not my favourite, as in, like, I don't get excited to do the 800.
No, nobody does.
What I love about it is that you can work harder and get better a lot easier than the other events, because all the other events are so technical that you kind of just have to wait for your strength to build, your agility to get better, your coordination. You just practice the drills and do it, and it just takes time, whereas the 800, you can put in the work and you see the results a bit better. So within Australia, the 800 is probably my strongest event.
So how have you gone so far, success-wise, in your competing?
Well, my first heptathlon was at the end of 2012, and that was pretty much no training. That was just sort of my first experience. I went to the Uni Games in Adelaide, and I did 3,800 points.
That's all right.
And so I just, like, my hurdles were a bit of a disaster. I'd never done them before, had never done long jump before. We did a few sessions at javelin before I went, and I was actually naturally quite good at that, but I had never thrown a jab before. And yeah, so it was fun for me, and I kind of enjoyed the competition. I think I came fifth at those Uni Games, and there was another year of me going back to the Goldfields to work on the mines to save some money to pay for my uni and stuff in Perth. And then the next Uni Games, I was actually very lucky in those ones because I actually won it, but it was quite a low scoring year, so I won in 4,200 points. And because I won, I was like, wow, I'm pretty good at this.
Yeah.
And then 4,200 points isn't that high a score, but I didn't really realise. But I was like, well, I'm going to keep going because I want to get better at this. I really enjoy it. And our club also did a lot of professional running, so we went on the professional circuit, the handicap races. And in the end of 2013, I was one of the front markers at the Adelaide Bay Sheffield at Christmas time, and I won that off 10 metres for $5,000. And that was, I think, one of the strongest moments that I was like, I really like running. And that was just after my Uni Games win as well. So that all got me hooked, and then since then I've just kind of started working my life more around it so that I can really get the best out of it. Because I started so much later than most people, I don't have time on my side in that sense, so I want to do a kind of an all or nothing person. So I put everything into what I'm passionate about at the time. So I want to do all the little things that I can do right to give myself the best chance to improve while I'm doing it. So I'm not particularly worried about achieving certain milestones or anything. I'm just chasing that improvement, and I had no idea when I first started that I'd be at the level that I'm at now. I just want to get better, and in doing so I've gotten really quite good. So I won in the professional circuit. I won the Adelaide Bay Sheffield, so that was my first one. I won the 2016 Ballarat Gift, and that was 3 metres further back than my Bay win. And then I won the 2018 Parkdale Gift and the 2018 Bunbury Geograph Gift, which was $14,000. That was off 375. In Victoria now I'm off scratch, so I don't have a handicap, and I still make finals, which is I just try and look back at where I started. So 5 years ago I was running off 10 metres, which means you're 10 metres forward from the back line and people are chasing you down, and now I don't have a handicap anymore. So in those 5 years I've improved 10 metres in my sprinting. And then for my heptathlon, I think because I did everything from the start, from kind of being nothing, so I did everything right in the gym, so my strength was getting better. I did everything right in terms of my rehab, getting massages and physios and stuff like that. And then my fitness, obviously, from just training was getting better, so my improvement curve was just exponential. So each year I got a lot of improvement. So each year from 2013 I won the Uni Games in a higher score, and the last year, 2016, I competed in person, broke the record in 5,500 and something points. I can't remember exactly what it was.
That's amazing.
Cool.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you. And then the last, apart from this year, what was that, 2016, 2017 and 2018, I got a silver medal at Nationals, always the bridesmaid.
Yeah.
And last year I got the Commonwealth B standard for the Commonwealth Games, and came second at the trials, which I was pretty stoked about. So I knew that I was in that sort of shape. Just in Western Australia there's not a lot of opportunities, not a huge depth in competition. So after winning Bunbury last year after the trials, because I didn't get selected for the Commonwealth Games, I decided to move to Melbourne. And then unfortunately when I got to Melbourne, I got a plantar fasciitis, and then a plantar fascia tear because I was really stubborn and kept training on it and didn't really indicate to anyone how bad it was. And so this year's Nationals was a little bit of a flop, because 2 weeks before Nationals I had torn my plantar fascia, but we still did it anyway.
Yeah.
Didn't quite crack 5,000 points. And then
you would have done better than I would have.
So I still came 7th, which I suppose when you look at that, that's pretty decent.
Yeah, no, that's good. Is there anyone that you look up to in the sport?
Well, athletics for me is a bit strange in that sense, because I've never been in it as a kid. I've never had an Olympic dream. I've never had idols that I look up to in terms of I want to be like that person. When I started, I still didn't have that dream because I didn't think I was any good, or that I could be any good. I just wanted to improve myself, and when I started getting to a little bit higher level is when I started to sort of gain a little bit more interest in other athletes, mainly because I was coming up to kind of not quite their level, but you know, they were around when I was around at Nationals or things like that. Or then I started looking at international, especially Heptathletes, and because the Heptathlon is such a varied event, there's some events that I'm stronger than some of the best in the world in one event, and they're just consistently better in, say, the others. But you just start to see glimpses of where you could be, you know, if you look at my projection from where I started to where I am now. If I continue to work the way I have and look after myself the way I have, I don't believe there's any restriction on where I can go if I keep putting in that work. And there's so many flaws in my technique that I know that there's the improvement there. So I think I'm a little bit underestimated because people look at my age. So I'm 27 now, and they kind of go, oh, well, she's had her day, kind of, not necessarily that they think 27-year-olds are there, but in the sport, I'm still such a baby, you know, like even 19-year-olds have been there twice as long as I have. So I just haven't had that consistent race experience, and especially because I went straight into the Hep, I've had to balance it between 7 events. So the number of hurdle races I've done is, you know, half or a third of what anyone else I'm kind of competing against has done. So in that sense, I just don't see a lot of limit to my improvement as long as I'm making sure I'm looking after my body and doing those little 1%ers right. I've lost track of the question that you actually asked.
No, that's okay. It was just in regards to who inspires you. I did ask in regards to athletics, but not only in athletics, but in life, who inspires you to continue that extra step?
Yeah, so in athletics, so we have a gift here in Leonora where I grew up, and it's a tiny little country town, and there's a running race called the Golden Gift. It's not actually a gift, it's scratch races, so everyone just, the main event is the Golden Mile, and then there's sprint races on the street and everything. So that started when I was 10 years old, and Steve Moninghetti was the patron of that gift, and I remember him coming to the school, and we used to have to chase him around the oval at his marathon pace, and we could hardly keep up for 100 metres, and he does that for a whole 42 kilometres. And so the first couple of years that they came to do that event, I always thought athletes were a different breed of people, you know, they're just different people. And they're athletes, and then we're normal people. But because I've lived here, and I've come back every year since then, so it's been 17 or 18 years now. Every year you see different people come and they talk to you and they do different things, and you just start to realise that they're actually just normal people who work really hard. And Kylie Wheeler used to come here for a couple of years as well, and I didn't realise at the time, but now that I reflect back on it, that was quite an influence on my thinking and what you could do and stuff. And I think the main thing was that she would do really well in the sprints, and she would do really well in the 600, but she wouldn't necessarily win. But she was a silver medalist or whatever she got at the Commonwealth Games. Like, she was one of the top athletes in Australia. She's one of the best of all time in the heptathlon, but she didn't necessarily win those races. And I remember my dad explaining to me what the heptathlon was. So I had actually forgotten that I did know what that was when I went to my coach that I ended up in Perth. So it's all funny when you look back at things and little moments that built up to your way of thinking and your way of, I suppose, applying what you know and what you have to the situations that you're in. So I think that event is really, really significant in my life to my thinking of where I want to go and what I can achieve, because the athletes kept coming back every year, and you really realise that they're just people and they're doing something that I love and they're doing it really well.
No, that's good.
Yeah, I really love that.
No, that's awesome. Now, do you mind giving some words of advice to athletes that are getting into it, getting back into it, or, you know, starting from scratch? What would you say to those athletes that are wanting to start again, or do athletics? What would you say to them?
I had a really nice moment at this year's Nationals with Tennille Craze, her name is. I think sorry if I got that wrong.
That's okay.
she came, I think, 5th at this year's nationals, and heptathlon's gotten really strong in the last couple of years. And she did a massive PB and everything, and I was very upset at the end of the hep. The 800 was a disaster. My foot was just not working, and I was kind of flopping around, and I did a very slow time, and I was just a bit devastated that I'd actually kind of missed my spot on the Oceania team. And she came up to me and she said, I don't know if you remember me from the uni games a few years ago, and I, as a kid, I think she was a sprint hurdler or something, and she had given that away and then come back into the sport and decided to do the hep. And she was a bit older, 21 or 22 or something. And I had said to her in that, we were doing the warm down lap, and I had said to her, don't worry about your age, it's never too old. Everyone always is going after the young talent and, you know, the future potential. And I said, you do you and do what you love. And if you're doing it because you love it and stick at it and work really hard, it doesn't matter how old you are. And then so she's come back a couple of years later, and now she's come 5th in a very strong field at nationals and with a massive PB, and she just gave me a big hug and she said, you were one of the reasons why I stuck at it and I got this. So I was blown away by that, and I think that's the biggest thing. I think sometimes we're kind of under the impression that you have to have started when you were little, or you know you're going to be behind, or you're never going to catch up, or any of that stuff. But I think the strongest thing that you can gain from starting later is that it's your choice and it's something that you want to do, and it's your responsibility then. And then I think that's a lot more powerful in terms of resilience and continuing to do it, and also just enjoying the process a lot. And I'm not saying that juniors don't get that at all, but there's just a lot of benefit, I think, from coming into the sport late and having that responsibility over yourself, because then it's your journey and it's something that you're just going to keep doing because you love it, rather than there's pressure to do it or anything like that. And I think you see a lot of improvement in that process. So yeah, it's never too late to start, is my advice.
I love it. Well done. And I wish you the best of luck with your future. You're all good in regards to health and everything now?
I actually got a late call up from the Oceania team, which was awesome.
Yep.
And then I won it, which was an even bigger surprise, because the heptathlon, you have to finish it to win it, obviously, and it's something that there's so many things that can go wrong through the competition. So the other Aussies actually ended up pulling out, and I kept going through, so I still got quite a low score because I had been rehabbing my plantar fascia. We were pretty confident in how it was going into that comp, but it did flare up a fair bit, so I've still got a bit of rehab to go. But in terms of it being repaired and everything like that, it's all good to go. I just need to make sure I'm smart about it and not go too hard too soon. So we've just backed off a little bit and letting that settle again. But everything's going really well. I'm getting stronger in the gym, and I've been training since I did it, and I haven't lost a lot. I think it's just that new tendon needs to be strong enough to deal with the sprinting, I think.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it came full circle for you in a sense. You were worried about not getting that Oceania spot, and then look what happened. It's amazing, the story.
So that was my first Australian team, so I was pretty stoked about that.
So the green and gold's hanging up?
Standard to get in. Yeah, well, that's my plan.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, thank you very much for joining me for a chat. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what happens with you in the future.
Okay, thank you very much.
That's all right. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you to Jamieson and Kiara for being a part of 2020 Vision and telling your stories. We know that your future will feature many more green and gold moments. There we have episode 11 of 2020 Vision. Make sure to join me next week. Who knows who we're going to get. Thank you for listening to another episode of 2020 Vision. If you want to find us elsewhere, go to Podbean, YouTube, or Spotify and type in 2020 Vision. You can also find us on Facebook. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you again next week.